Okay, so this is where we'll start from. Okay, so just turn the car off, otherwise it'll be too noisy for the cameras. So we're going to start off here for the first initial lesson, where we'll be going through the cockpit drill, going through the controls, both feet and hand controls. We probably won't go on to the ancillary controls, the sort of radio and heater things today. We'll just concentrate on the things that get the car moving off down the road. Okay, so when you come round into this side of the car, because you're obviously going to sit in this seat for the first time, there's various checks that you need to make. But what's the thing that you need to do before you get out of your side to make sure it's safe now? What do you think you should do? Or what could be the dangers?
To my side?
Yeah.
People? Don't know.
So carry on, people.
People walking?
Yep, could do. So they could.
Pedestrians?
So you could open the door just as someone walks past and then whack them one, couldn't you? Or what about
Parked
some?
cars,
Yeah, parked cars could be. What about someone was riding past on their bike?
Oh yeah.
Yep. So
Cyclists.
so yeah, when you open the door up, it could be their first flying lesson, couldn't it?
Yeah.
So just got to make sure that you look, and not only look in the mirror, but look over your blind spot as well to make sure it's safe.
Yep.
Okay. So when we do get out and come round, do you think you should go to the front of the car and go round? Or do you think you should go to the back of the car and go round?
The back?
Good. Why would you think the back?
I don't know, I feel like I could just sort of see more as I went like round.
So see and be seen, isn't it? So if you go around the back of the car, any cars coming from behind us would see you. But if you came around the front of the car, the first thing they might see is when you appear at the front, and that could be a problem. So yeah, always go around the back of the car when you're swapping seats. All right, so when you come around into this side, don't adjust, alter or change anything, and I'll tell you how to do it once we're in the other seats. All right. Okay, good. So I gave you a pack the other day, didn't I? That was basically all of the training that you would be doing to get through the test. Were you able to have a little look at it and see what was going on with the moving off and stopping and things like that? Good. Okay. So first off then, we're going to have a look at how we set you up for what we call the cockpit drill. That's when you must make sure everything is safe and that you can reach everything and touch everything in relation to the car. Okay. So the very first thing we need to do is make sure the doors are actually shut. I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes it's possible to actually have a door that's not quite shut, and then on test it would be a problem, obviously. But you've got to make sure that there's two ways of actually doing it. So make sure the alignment is correct. So if you saw it there, you can see the front door to the back door is not actually aligned. So that's one way of actually doing it. The other way is to listen to it. Have a good hard clunk. Okay. Some cars, like this one to be fair, has sort of whistles and bells and chimes and things that go off if a door's not quite shut, and it will also tell you on the dashboard which door is actually not shut, so that you can go and close it properly. Okay, so the cockpit drill then is something called DSSSM. Okay, so I'll just turn that screen up a little bit more so we can see it better. Good. So it's doors, as we've said, and then we adjust the seat. Now, unfortunately, everybody that has to sit in that seat has to adjust it, because I'm a giant and nobody else is. So you're going to have to always adjust the seat when you get in, I'm afraid. So the very first thing we need to do is actually get you a lot higher in the car. Now to do that, there's a little pumpy up handle over there on the right hand side. If you get hold of that handle and pump it up and keep pumping up, We want to get you as high as we possibly can in the car, but obviously still have your feet on the floor, so that you can see nicely over the bonnet, and also it helps you to actually see out of the rear screen as well. Good. Okay, so that's brought it up, but if you look at your feet in relation to the pedals, you can't even touch them, can you? No. So you're way too far off from the pedals. So if you reach down, there's a bar between your legs. So if you get hold of the bar and scoot forward. Good. So now press the left hand pedal all the way to the floor. So does that feel a bit stretchy still? Yeah. Okay, so just slightly more. Good. Okay, how's that feel? Yeah. So you should be able to press it all the way down to the floor and still have a gentle bend in the knee. Yeah. You can feel that okay? Yeah. Good, good. Okay. So that's the height of it adjusted, the seat base in relation to the pedals adjusted. So you can actually, if you want, adjust the back of the seat as well. It looks about right for you there, because I tend to have it roughly where you do. But if you did need to, there's a wheel down the right hand side that you can twist just to make sure it's nice and comfy for you. So now that you've adjusted the seat, there's one more thing that you need to have a look at on the seat. Do you know what that might be on the actual seat itself? Okay, what's the thing behind your head?
Oh, the seat belt.
This thing here.
Head restraint. Head
restraint, well done. You obviously read the piece of paper. It's a head restraint and not a head rest. Yeah. So it's there to protect your head in the event of an accident from behind, basically. So it's got to be adjusted correctly so that your head, if you were to have an accident, that your head would meet sort of the centre part. Your ears should be roughly central to the top of your ears, roughly central to the head restraint. Okay, so to adjust it, you just press this button in here and then bring it down a little bit and then put your head around the side of it, and that looks perfect just there. Good, well done. Okay, so that's the head restraint adjusted. Now you may think that the steering wheel is a bit close to you now, so you can actually adjust the steering wheel as well. So if there's a lever down there on the left hand side, if you put your thumb underneath it, pull it all the way down. Good. Now both hands either side, just push it away from you. Nice and hard, big push, that's it. And then what you should be able to do is read both dials in front of you, the rev counter and the speedo, and just make sure that you can see everything in there that's going to be nice and clear for you. Once you've done that, you can then bring the lever back up again, and that locks the steering column. Big pull, that's it. And it just locks the steering column in place for you. Good. And there's one last thing we need to do in relation to actually setting you up safety wise. What's the one last thing do you think that we need to do?
Seatbelt.
Yep. So if you draw it round with your right hand, that's it. Now catch it with your left hand and bring it all the way round, and then make sure there's no twists in it at all anywhere. So make sure.
I think it's a bit twisted.
So is it twisted? Yeah, you've got to make sure it's not twisted anyway. So if it's twisted, just undo it and then bring it round again. Let it go all the way back. And then bring it round. That's it. Keep it on the outside. Good. Well done. So no twists in it. And if you feel it's sort of cutting your head off, there's an adjustment you can see around there on the right. So you can squeeze it together and pull it down. So if you squeeze that thing together there, and pull it down, and it comes down, and it won't saw your head off then either. Good, okay. So the last thing we have to do to make sure everything's safe inside the car for you, and to make sure you can see everything, is to adjust the mirrors. So we'll look at the centre mirror first, this mirror here, okay? That's a true image of what you see behind you. So if you're looking at something, and we can see sort of the hedge behind us with the horses and things now, how many metres away do you think that hedge is? If you're looking there, it's a true image. How far away do you think that hedge is?
Quite far.
About, what, 100 metres?
Yeah.
Okay. If you look in your door mirrors though, what do you see, the same hedge, what do you notice with that?
that one seems a lot further away.
Okay, good, well done. Any ideas why that's a lot further away, or seems a lot further away? Obviously it can't be, but...
I'm not too sure.
Okay, so the mirrors, the actual vision in the door mirrors is convex. It
Yeah,
actually,
it's different shape,
yeah, the glass in the door mirrors is actually bent.
Yeah.
So it gives you a wider field of vision, but in doing so, it makes things look a lot further back than they actually are.
Yeah.
Or put another way, items in the mirrors, door mirrors, can be closer than you actually think they are.
Yeah.
So you would always check your centre mirror first and your door mirrors afterwards. Okay, good. You'll see on the centre mirror up here,
Yeah.
there's a little fiddly thing there, a little thing. What do you think that thing's for, do you know?
Like cars behind if you're driving at night.
So what can happen
like-
with cars at night?
Like dazzle you from their lights.
Good,
And
well done. So all you do is adjust that down and then the dazzle would go away, but you'd still be able to see a very dim view because actually it's just moving the glass in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
The mirror stays in the same place, so the light reflection is going down, but you can still see back out of the rear screen. So the way we adjust it is with your left hand only.
Yeah.
On the left hand side, thumb at the bottom, finger on top.
Yeah.
Adjust it so it frames the rear window. The top of the mirror should be aligned along with the top of the window.
Like that.
Okay, so as long as you can see it, obviously you're sitting in the driver's seat and I'm not, so I can't tell that it's going to be bang on for me because it's obviously you that's looking at it. So you happy with that?
Yeah.
Good, excellent, okay. So the next thing we're going to look at then is the door mirrors. Now the door mirrors, you do have to just turn the key a couple of times to activate them, so just turn the key just a couple of times, that's it. Good, and then there's a silver switch over there on the right, and if you press it all the way over to the right arrow, if it's not, it was already over there, and then you use the arrows up, down, left and right to get a picture of what you need to see. So you need to see the side of the car, a little bit of side of the car in the mirror, so about 15% of the mirror is actually covered by the car, and then all the way down the road, and the horizon, if you would be able to see it, would be in the centre. So adjust that mirror so you can see it nicely. Just turn those wipers off, otherwise that's going to get annoying. Okay, so happy with that one? Good, good. So now flick the silver switch all the way over to the left, and then adjust this mirror the same way. Obviously you've got to have the side of the car just a little bit, 15% of the mirror side of the car, and then the same thing, horizon in the middle, see all the way down the road. Happy with that? Good, good. Then turn the ignition back off again. Well done. So that's all the cockpit drill actually done. You've set yourself up, you can reach everything, you can see everything, so that's all done, nicely done. Well done. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay, so now we're going to just have a quick talk about blind spots, because a lot of people, they say they know where the blind spots are, but they actually don't really know where they are. So, do you know where the blind spots are in the car, or where would you think they are?
Isn't it like to the side of you, so like behind?
Yeah, sort of. Pretty good, well done. So, if you look in the far right pointy bit of your lower mirror, the top mirrors are for me, not for you. So, if you look at the far right pointy bit, what's the closest thing that you can see behind you in that mirror?
Probably the telegraph pole.
Okay, good. So if you look at a right angle to your right shoulder and then look back over your right shoulder to the telegraph pole, how far is the telegraph pole away from us? About
not too far.
20 metres, something like that? Okay, good. So that's everything that you can't see, because you can't see behind your shoulders. And you can't see that in your mirror either. So that's your blind spot. Okay? So your mirror vision doesn't actually cover everything going out. It goes out at about a 20-degree angle out from the car. So it gives you a wider field of vision, but it doesn't cover everything. So on test, when you're doing your driving test, they will pull you up on the left-hand side of the road several times, and they'll say to you, pull up on the left hand side of the road in a safe place.
Yeah.
And it's for you to define safe, legal and convenient. We'll talk about that in another lesson because I'll help you out with it today. And then they'll say to you, drive on when you're ready.
Yeah.
And you must carry out what they call a 6-point check to pull away. So that would be looking in your left blind spot, the same place as your right one that we've just been speaking about. So it's looking completely over your left shoulder, your left door mirror.
Yeah.
Look ahead. Now I know that sounds stupid, but in the early stages of training, when everything else is going on inside the car, believe me, you could quite easily miss the 20-ton truck coming towards you.
Yeah.
So ahead, centre mirror, right blind spot.
Okay.
But it can't be just going around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It literally is going around just to make sure everything's nice and safe.
Yeah.
And then once you're happy that things are nice and safe, then you can pull off again. Okay? Good. So that's the observations that you'll be expected to do on test. Okay, so let's talk about the funny pedals down there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I gave you the sheet on those, so maybe you've read that.
Yeah.
Do you know what all 3 of those pedals functions are? I know you probably don't know how to use them yet, but so the right hand one, the long skinny one.
Yeah.
What's that one?
Accelerator.
Good. What does it do?
Pulls you off, so that's...
Sort of, yeah. It controls the power output of the engine. So the harder you press it, the faster we'll go down the road.
Yeah.
And we probably don't want to particularly go down the road super fast.
No, yeah.
It's got to be pressed gently and progressively, so that we just increase speed nicely. Believe me, the examiner will not enjoy being pinned back in the seat with the G-force as you hurtle down the road at walk factor 3.
Yeah.
So gentle and progressive. You only use your right foot for the gas pedal. You try to get the heel of your right foot roughly underneath the middle pedal, the brake pedal.
Yeah.
So therefore you are, when your foot is up, you know you're over the brake.
Yeah.
And when your foot is pivoted, keeping your heel where it is to the right, you know that you're on the gas.
Yeah.
So pivoted to the right, gas, up, brake. And just incidentally, I'll now call it the gas pedal rather than the accelerator pedal.
Okay.
Because it's far easier for me to say on the gas, off the gas, more gas, less gas, than it is to say accelerator and I'll get all tongue-tied and it won't come out right.
Yeah.
Okay? So it just basically controls the power output of the car, and we'll be playing with that in a moment. And the middle pedal then, what does that do?
Brake.
Good. So what else does the middle pedal do? Not only what 2 real functions it does. So it will stop you, but it will also slow you.
Yeah, slow you down.
You may well you probably will actually be using far more of it to actually slow you than you probably will to stop you. Because as you go down the road, you might be just adjusting your speed. There might be a little bit of something in the road, parked car coming towards you. So if you gently brake, you can adjust your speed. Car comes past and then you can check your mirrors and come out and go past it quite easily. So most of the time, if you can adjust your speed to what you see ahead of you, it's far better to carry on going down the road than it is actually just to stop, start all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. So you have to press it gently and progressively. So if you pressed it really hard, we would stop really fast.
Yeah.
And we don't really want to stop hard and fast. We want to stop nicely and gently. So you just press it gentle, but then just before you come to the stop, probably 2-3 meters before you come to the stop, you don't need as much braking because you've already slowed. So you just come off the brake just a tiny weeny bit. And that will allow the springs to come back up. Because when you're braking quite hard, the front springs are depressed. And the car's sort of driving along with the front sort of poking down. So if you braked and stopped at that same level, the car would go ba-doing at the end. And that all sounds a bit sort of weird and funny, but believe me, you probably will do it. If you don't do it, that's fantastic. You've picked it up quite quickly. But if not, then don't worry about it. We can talk about that and how to rectify it. Okay? So then we get on to the left-hand pedal. The only pedal that you use with your left foot. So what's that pedal?
Clutch.
Good. Do you know what it does?
Helps you change gear, and when you're stopping, like to a complete stop, push it down so it brake works.
Good. And what about pulling off?
You press that right down and like lift it slowly up to find your bite with the...
Well done, you have been reading the sheets, haven't you?
Yeah.
Very good, excellent. So that one's a little tricky, I have to say.
Yep.
Appreciate you haven't tried it before, but that one can be a little tricky. Don't worry if it goes wrong. And you shouldn't worry about anything anyway, because I've got complete control of the car on this side. If anything happens, I can step in and control the car, so you're always safe. There's nothing going to happen that's going to be untoward. Okay,
yep.
Good. So do you understand what a clutch actually does, how it works? Okay, so basically it breaks the link between the engine and the gearbox.
Okay.
So it stops the drive. So if I want to get it into gear when the engine's running, no matter what I tried to do,
yep.
if the engine's running, the clutch is up, I could not get it into gear.
Right.
But the moment you press the clutch pedal down, it stops the shaft going into the gearbox turning, and then you can get it into whichever gear you like.
Yep.
But you have to appreciate there's 3/4 of a ton of car here, and it's just not going to go down the road instantaneously. So you have to bring the clutch up a little bit just to the biting point, and then when you're ready to go, we'll be talking about it more in a minute, but you let the handbrake off after making sure it's safe, and just drive gently down the road, and after about 4 seconds you gently bring the clutch up.
Okay.
If you bring the clutch up too quickly, then the car is going to stall.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So just got to treat it very gently, but don't worry about it if it goes wrong. Everybody takes a little bit of time getting the clutch pedal right. Okay. So what you do is you keep the heel of your left foot underneath the brake pedal,
and
you try and pivot your ankle if you can. I appreciate you've probably got smaller feet than me, so it might be a bit more difficult for you. But you try and slide it on the carpet if necessary. If you have your heel off the carpet and you try and move your foot like that, it would actually be quite difficult for you. It's far better to have leverage on the floor than it is to move your foot up and down, because all your leverage then is happening in your knee and in your ankle, which it can be quite difficult with. Okay, but again, don't worry about that. We'll sort it out and we'll have a play with that in a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Good, well done. Any questions on the pedals at all?
No.
Okay, what's this funny thing here?
Oh my god, it's completely gone out of my head. Handbrake.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is put your foot on the brake pedal and press it for me, please. And then if you could release the handbrake for me. Well done. And pull the handbrake back up for me. Okay, superb. So did you hear that click, click, click noise?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a naughty thing to hear.
Right.
Okay. Do you know why it's a naughty thing to hear? Okay, so there's a mechanism inside that handbrake, and it's a ratchet device, and basically the ratchet is going up like that.
Yeah.
So the clicking you hear is click, 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 and every time it goes click, 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 it wears a little teeny bit off the ends of the teeth, off the actual ratchet itself and off the teeth. So every time it goes up, it's just wearing the handbrake out. And then one day you'll come out expecting your car to be outside your house, and you'll find it down the road because the handbrake will have failed. So if you let the handbrake off, press the brake pedal again for me. That's it. And then let the handbrake off. And then button in, pull the handbrake back up, then button out. Perfect. That's how we do it. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Wonderful stuff. And what's this wobbly thing here?
Gear stick.
Well done. Gear stick, gear lever. My American pupils call it the shift or something like that they call it. So yeah, it's the gear lever. This car has 5 forward gears, some have 4, some have 6. 5 does the job perfectly well. So each gear has its own speed range. First gear has no real speed in it at all. It will drive you up a mountain in first gear, but only at around about 10 miles an hour. Okay, but then at 10 miles an hour you have to change into 20, and then 20 miles an hour you have to change into third, and then at 30 miles an hour change into fourth, and then after about 40 miles an hour you'll be in 5th gear on a normal road. Okay, so a normal road basically you'll be changing at roughly those speeds. Now if you are going up a hill, you will need more.
Yeah.
Okay, so you may need to take it up to 15 miles an hour in first gear, and you might need to take it up to 25 miles an hour in second gear.
Yeah.
Things like that. Okay, good. Again, we'll be practicing with that. So you can see there it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then reverse.
Yeah.
So if you put your left hand on the gear lever and just move it side to side, what do you feel?
Just moves.
It's a spring either side, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. So when it's sitting still like that, where is that positioned in that gate? Where do you think it's positioned in the gate?
Right in the middle.
Good. It's actually between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Hang on there. Okay. So that will help you to understand that knowledge. It will help you understand where the gear lever is.
Yeah.
Because lots of people get the wrong gear at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And then they'll stall the car as they pull off, or stall the car as they pull off from a junction, something like that, because they don't actually understand how to actually change gear properly.
Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about is something called the palming method. Okay? The palming method, if you can get it, will help you change gear an awful lot easier than just holding it on top like a spade and moving it all around and hoping you get it into the right gear. Okay? So if that's my gear lever, and I'm going to use my left hand, what I'm going to say is to the left of the gear lever there's an invisible wall. Okay? Can you see the invisible wall?
No.
Oh, good. Okay, so with your palm towards me, put your hand onto the gear lever, the palm towards me, yeah?
Yeah.
And then push the gear lever over to the left-hand side, and it's hit the invisible wall, yeah? So now slide it up the invisible wall. Good. So we're in first gear now, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. So then when we want to go to second gear, it's palm to me, pressure to me again. So just keep your palm over to the left.
Yeah.
Okay, and then just slide it back down the wall into second. Good, well done. So that's gone straight into second, and because you kept the pressure on it to the side, it didn't go into fourth. Right. If the people that don't keep the pressure on it, or just hold it on top like a spade, don't keep the pressure on it, and if you watch the gear lever, what gear have I got into?
Fourth.
Yeah. So believe me, if you tried to pull away first to fourth gear, the car would stall in the middle of the road. And that's not a comfortable place to actually stall a car when you're pulling out.
No, yeah.
Particularly if there's something big, nasty and ugly coming behind you. Okay, so your hand's behind the gear lever and we want to go second to third. So a quick nudge, 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 it's gone straight into third.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've just gone second to third gear and it's gone straight in. Because you weren't holding it, it's just gone straight in and you didn't have to fight the gate.
Yeah.
Good. And then put your hand behind the gear lever and then pull it all the way back into fourth. Excellent, well done. And then fourth to fifth, you can push it up with your hand behind again like it was, up one click, over to you rather, and up. Excellent, well done. So now you don't have to go through the gears the same way coming back down. You can go fifth to third to first, or you can go fifth to second, depending on the speed that you're actually doing. You have to match the speed of the car to the gear that you actually want.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Good. It'll make more sense when we go down the road. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the gear lever, how it works. So put it back into neutral for me. And then make sure it's in neutral. Quick wiggle left and right. Good.
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about these things up here, the switches up here just behind the steering wheel. Indicator switch on the left. Press it down to turn left, press it up to turn right. Normally you'll keep your hands on the steering wheel, extending your fingers out, and you just move it up or down as you want to turn left or right. And it's just started raining outside now, so we will be playing with the wiper switch shortly. But the speed on the wipers is up one click for the intermittent wipe.
Yep.
And you can adjust the intermittent wipe speed by pressing or twiddling the little wheel inside.
Yep.
And then you can bring it up another click, it goes on to first speed, and then you can bring it up another click and it goes on to supersonic fast speed then. Okay? Hopefully we won't get into supersonic speed today. All right? Any other questions on any of the things that we've looked at so far?
No.
Good, good. So what we're going to do is actually look at how we would set the gas and find the bite and move off down the road, if you're happy with that. Good. So if we can just move off and stop a couple of times, just on this first lesson, we will hopefully have achieved quite a lot today.
Yeah.
So, what we're going to do then is you need to push the clutch down on this car to make sure the engine starts. So, press the clutch all the way to the floor and turn the key until the engine starts. Excellent. Okay, so we've made sure it's in neutral so you can actually release the clutch pedal.
Yep.
So let's turn the wipers on to delay wipe. Bring that switch up one click. Good. So at least we can see what's going on a little bit, can't we? Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to play with just setting the gas first off.
Yep.
So you see the rev counter, the one on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I want you to try and do is just press the gas pedal and try and get it between the 1 and the 2 at about 1,500 revs.
Right.
So it's very sensitive, the gas pedal, so it only needs a little bit of gas to make sure it does it. It's quite hard to keep it there. Is that a bit high, do you think?
Yeah. So between where?
So between the 1 and the 2 there's a little sort of like a little mark, isn't there?
Yeah.
So if you can get it to between roughly there, near enough is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so now just listen to it, feel it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What you don't want to be doing is when you get to the end of a road,
Yeah.
what you don't want is actually for people behind you to be sitting behind you whilst you're looking at that gauge,
Yeah.
hoping that you can get it to the 1500. Near enough is good enough. So take your foot back off it again.
Yeah.
Good. And what we're going to do now then is shut your eyes and now put it back to where it was and tell me when you think you're there.
Now?
Look. Bang on. Perfect.
Oh,
well done. Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So that's setting the gas. That's what you'll have to do when you put the clutch down first gear, set the gas.
Yeah.
So what we're going to learn is something called, or a word. You need to understand a word.
Yeah.
The word is POM. Prepare, observe and move. We've already talked about the observe part, the 6-point check to make sure everything is safe and clear.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the P, the prepare part. That's going to be clutch down, first gear using the palming method, setting the gas like we've just done,
Yeah.
and finding the bite that we're just about to play with now.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So what I want you to do is press the clutch pedal down to the floor, all the way. Now using the palming method, put it into first gear just like I taught you. Good. Okay. So now, just like we practiced before,
Yeah.
set the gas up to that 1500. Try not to look at the gauge though. Okay, so now what I want you to do is actually, we're trying to find the bite.
Yeah.
So when you found the bite, the engine note will change
Mm-hmm.
and the car front will actually raise slightly.
Right.
When you've got to that point, leave your foot exactly, or both your feet exactly where they are.
Yeah.
So you lift the clutch up and you tell me when you think you got it to bite.
Now?
Perfect, well done. And put the clutch to the floor and then bring it back up to bite
Yeah, now.
and down. Good, and one more time. Excellent. Okay, and put it down to the floor again. Okay,
Yeah.
put it back into neutral for me and come off the gas. Good, well done. Okay, so that was setting the gas and finding the bite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once you've actually set the gas and found the bite, the only thing stopping the car going down the road
Yeah.
is the fact that you've got the handbrake on.
Right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so as soon as you let the handbrake off, if you found the bite correctly,
Yeah.
then the car will start to move.
Right. Okay.
But at that point, you cannot come all the way off the clutch.
Right.
Because as I said before, I think this is 3/4 of a ton of car,
Mm-hmm.
and it just will not move down the road in a split second. It has to build up momentum. So therefore, if you travel down the road about 3 or 4 seconds with the clutch roughly at bite,
Yeah.
and then slowly lift the clutch back up again, then that will actually get you going down the road properly.
Right.
But we only want to be going down the road at about 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We're not going to go anything much more than 10 today.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to actually pull up on the left.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen, I'll probably take over all the observations because I appreciate it's quite difficult looking at your feet and things like that today, and also it started raining, so that's not going to help matters. So I'll look round to make sure it's safe and clear. All I want you to do is actually look at the controls and your feet and things like that. Okay? So the prepare part, the P part, is clutch down. First gear using the palming method. Set in your gas. Right hand on the steering wheel. Now the best thing to do with the steering is look to where you want to steer, steer to where you look. Okay? Appreciate the road is straight, so we won't have a problem hopefully, and I'll help you with it just a little bit if I need to. If I do move the steering wheel round, you'll have 2 hands on it and I'll only have 2 fingers, so don't fight me. Okay? Good. So when you're ready then, bring the clutch up to bite. Good. Hand on the handbrake. Now I want you to do, if you can, the 6-point check just to make sure it's all safe. Obviously I'm doing it as well just to make sure. Handbrake off, but keep the clutch where it is. And then steer slightly out. Lift the clutch dead slow. Then come off the gas. So then we're going to pull up. So cover the brake pedal for me. Cover the clutch pedal for me. Now because we're going so slow, we're going to put the clutch pedal down first. Then we're going to steer in, so clutch pedal down, and then gentle brake, brake, brake. Good. Don't move your feet. Keep your feet absolutely still. Handbrake on. Good. What was that noise I heard?
The click.
What should we not hear?
That click.
Good. Okay. So is the car now safe? What would happen if you took your feet off the pedals now?
Wouldn't we jump forward because it's still in the
Well
air?
done. So take it into neutral for me. Good. Well done. How was that? Good. Oh, that was a good time, wasn't it? We didn't kill anybody going down the road, so excellent job. Well done. So now we're going to do it again. So this time, however, we're going to look round and we're going to use an indicator if we need to. So what they say is, if there's no one around to benefit from an indicator, then don't use an indicator. If there is someone around to benefit from an indicator, then use it. Okay? So we'll look round after we've done the prepare part. So it's prepare, observe and move, isn't it? So clutch down first gear. Set your gas. Then what's the next bit?
Find your bite.
So find the bite. Where should your right hand be there? Good, well done. So is that the bite? Okay. So what do we, that's the prepare part done, isn't it? So completely all around. So do we need an indicator?
No, because there's no one behind.
What about the person coming ahead of us? Okay, so let's do an indicator and let's have the handbrake off, but keep the clutch where it is. Indicator off, and then lift the clutch all the way up. Come off the gas. And then we're going to pull up on the left. Do we need an indicator to pull up? Have a look round.
Yeah.
There's a car coming in. Okay, so indicate left. Then we're going to come into the park position. When the curb is roughly halfway over the bonnet, then you're in the park position. So what do we push down first?
Clutch.
So let's do that. And then gentle brake. Good. Don't move your feet. Keep your feet exactly where they are. Put the handbrake on for me. Then what do we do? Oh, what was that noise?
Why does it do that?
That's because you're putting the handbrake on without pushing the button in.
Oh, you have to press the button. Oh, okay. Right.
There you go. And
into neutral.
Good. Well done. It's that ticking noise. Excellent. Well done. Very good. Well done. Okay? Good, good. So we're going to do it one more time. So, what's the first thing we do?
Put the clutch down.
Okay, let's do that.
Into first gear.
Using the palming method. Well done.
And then find the gas.
Set the gas,
Then find the light.
Good.
Like that.
Okay. Was it safe to pull off then?
Oh yeah, I didn't check.
Okay, lucky I checked for you, don't worry. So, and we're going to pull up on the left, so what do we do with our feet? Cover the pedals,
pedals.
So do we need an indicator?
No.
Okay. So what pedal, because we're going slow, what pedal do we put down first?
Clutch.
Okay, let's do that.
Yep.
Are we in the park position?
Yeah.
Okay, what do we do with the right foot?
Press it down on the brake.
Good. Now what do we do?
Pull the handbrake up.
Yep. Excellent, well done, button in.
And then neutral.
Excellent, well done. Okay. Good. Coming along, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. You okay?
Yeah.
Good. So what I want you to do is, without possibly a little bit of my help at least,
Yeah.
I want you to try and remember everything that we've done. And you see the little tree there with a blossom on it?
Yeah.
I want you to drive down there and then pull up on the left if you can. Do you think you're going to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll help you though if it all goes wrong, don't worry.
Yep.
So when you're ready, drive on. Very good, well done, excellent. So you've certainly got the idea of the pulling off and stopping, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so that probably ends today's lesson in just cockpit drill, hand controls, foot pedals to make sure it's all set up properly for you. And then we've looked at the pulling off and stopping, so it's the POM routine: prepare, observe and move.
Yeah.
Okay, and then pulling up on the left hand side just as we did there. That was fantastic how you did it that last time. Well done. So next time out we'll probably look at steering and changing gear as well. Changing gear is a bit like sort of patting your head, rubbing your tummy and singing a song at the same time. Can you do that, do you think?
Might be.